Today I'm going to go over how to change the front brakes on a 2006 to 2009 ML350 Mercedes. First things first, safety. Make sure your emergency brake is on. After your emergency brake is on, go ahead and jack the side of the SUV that you want to change the front brakes on. Once you've jacked the car up for extra safety, place a jack stand under the car and support it on the chassis to keep the vehicle from falling if the jack fails. Once you've removed the wheel, secured the lug nuts, the next thing that we're going to do is remove the main brake caliper, and that's done by taking off two screws or loosening two hex screws that's on the back. The hex screws are protected from rain, snow, salt by two caps. Just take a flathead screwdriver, removing each cap on the rear side of the caliper will expose the screws. Make sure you put all your loose parts in a bucket. There are two of these caps that you need to remove, the other one being at the bottom. Just go ahead and remove that as well. Right here. There we go. The cap falls often, so you just pick it up and put it in its container. Once those are removed, then the hex screws will be exposed. Each hex screw sits inside of the a hole there on the caliper. The hex screw size is a 9mm, and you can use a hex wrench to get that off. 9mm in size. This is a 9mm hex that I'm going to use, and I just insert it inside the hex screw like that, and then I'm going to use a rubber mallet right here, just to loosen it up. Like that. You'll hold it with your right hand and then you'll loosen it up, and you do that for both of them. Once you've loosened those screws up, go ahead and continue to take them out by just spinning each screw out counterclockwise until it's free. You'll know that it's free when you see the threads of the screw, and then you can just go ahead turning it until it's removed from the brake assembly, like that. Go ahead doing that for the second screw, which is at the base of the caliper. Once we've removed the backing hex screws, then we're going to go ahead and remove the backing plate that you see there. This is a backing plate that prevents the brake caliper housing from falling off, so we're going to go ahead and remove that. And using a flathead screwdriver, we can just go ahead and get these out of there. Remember, I am holding the camera while trying to remove this, so it's a little bit more difficult than it should be at the moment. So once we've gone ahead and removed these, then we'll go ahead and remove the brake pads next. Once we've gotten that off, our next step is to remove the caliper from the disc. We're going to take it off, and because of its weight and because it's held by the brake line, we don't want to damage the brake line. I've placed a bucket here just to rest the caliper on once it's been removed from the discs. Once again, taking your flathead screwdriver, we can go ahead and start to pry it off. And now remember, it needs to be pried from the top as well as the bottom. And once it's all loosened up, it should fall right off. Taking care not to damage the brake line. Just go ahead and continue to pry back and forth from the top and the bottom. And you can even use the rubber mallet, not a hammer. A hammer will damage it. Using a rubber mallet just to loosen it up. A bit, continuing to work it with the screwdriver until it's completely loosened. Once you've gotten the caliper loosened up by going back and forth, you should be able to just gently take it off of the discs like I just described. And I like to just go ahead and rest it on a supporting bucket just so that you're not putting tremendous amount of strain on the brake line, usually made out of rubber and steel cabled. Then the last piece of the removal is to take off the remaining brake pad. Before putting on the new brake pads and reassembling the brake caliper, it's a good idea to take some sandpaper and scour the surface area of your brake disc so that your new brakes have a fresh, clean surface to feed itself on. And it also aids in giving the new brake pads a nice rough surface to work themselves in, rather than the old surface created by the old brake pads. Once you're done with the front side, you should also do the back rear side of the caliper, of the disc rather, so that both sides of the brakes will have a nice fresh surface. Taking your new brake pad for the front side of the disc, insert it into the housing for it. Make sure that it's seated properly. The rear side of the disc, or the rear side of the disc caliper, brake caliper, you also need to remove the brake pad. This is held in by some prongs that fit into the calipers themselves, and they come out rather easily. So after you've removed it, just go ahead and there's also a sensor that you need to be careful on. You need to remove it as well. Looking at the top side of the brake caliper, the sensor sits right there with the two wires. And go ahead and unplug it. Once that's been unplugged, you can then remove the rear brake caliper. I keep saying caliper, but rear brake pad. Once you've gotten the old disc pad, brake pad out, I would go ahead and carefully remove the sensor with the flathead screwdriver, making sure not to break it. It's often better to just use your hands and gently remove it. Like so. Rather than breaking it, just take your time and gently pry it out. Once it's out, you can then insert it into the new brake pad. Inserting it into the new brake pad is a simple procedure. You just snap it in position and that's it. Now, the fact that we're putting on thicker brake pads because they're newer, we will need to adjust the caliper height. I usually use a C-clamp to press the calipers back into position. They also sell caliper presser for a couple bucks at your local car store, AutoZone, or any other store like that. But I just use a C-clamp that I get from the hardware store, placing it on the caliper and just slowly turning it back into position like this. Okay, once it's in position, I go ahead and I slowly turn it until the caliper is all the way back in. And I do that for each caliper, making sure not to completely squeeze it into a point of no return. I just gently keep turning it slowly until it stops. I now have the caliper turned on its side, and I will take the brake pad over here, placing them on the caliper, pressing them into position. Kind of hard because I'm using one hand, but once I get one side pressed in, I then press the other side in. You gotta work it back and forth until it's completely in. Like that. The sensor, I'll retrace my steps by plugging it in up top. Now, oftentimes you'll have to replace the sensor if the sensor has been worn out because you waited too long to change the brakes. But other times you can just go ahead and just plug it back into the slot there. Once it's plugged back in, that's what it will look like. Putting the caliper back on should be as simple as when you took it off. You just retrace your steps and you place it over the brake caliper, slowly sliding it back into position. Making sure that everything's lined up just right. Something doesn't look right on the back. I think it's that rear brake needs to be, that ledge needs to be up on top. So let me go ahead and take care of that. Once the caliper is back in position, let's go ahead and put on the back end plate to prevent it from sliding off, and then we'll finish up by tightening the screws, hex screws. Here's the back end plate. that we took off earlier. Put it back into position by placing the first thing into the prong into the hole like that. Then the second hole needs to be also placed into position, and then we should be good to go. Let me get my flathead screwdriver just to make sure that the bottom hole is in place. Let's go ahead and finish the job by tightening up the hex screws. We're going to finger tighten them first, upper and lower. Once that's done, we're going to take the mallet, rubber mallet, and make sure that they're good and snug. And once they're good and snug, both of them, then the brake job is done, and all we have to do after that is to replace the tire, pump the brakes so that the calipers go back into position, and then we're complete. We've got to make sure that we put back on the weather caps to prevent salt, rust to form, snow, water and all that out of the hex screws, upper and bottom, and we're done.